what is making the biggest guys in the industry, what's making them so big?
One would be...
Today's guest is William Brown, one of the sharpest minds in the world of online business and e-learning. From scaling his knowledge-based company to over $16 million in sales to exiting with a life-changing multi-seven-figure deal, William has joined the elite ranks alongside names like Alex Hormozi and Sam Ovens.
You used to be a very successful DJ.
Yeah, so I've DJed in over 45 countries. People always say real estate's really hard. It's not hard at all. From the real estate portfolio, I make about 1.3K a day. If it's hard, I've never experienced it.
We used to teach that in the dating world all the time. Women smell every gram of desperation on you. The hack that we used to teach our clients was ChatGPT dropped and everybody was freaking out over it, and I'm like, holy fuck, this just changed everything.
Dude, do you think copywriters will get squeezed out of the market?
Yes.
What other roles do you think are going to be removed?
All of them.
I really don't like these guys that live in Bali and are happy with 10, 20k a month. I think come on, grab your fucking balls.
Same, yeah.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Now that I'm at the stage where I don't really need more money, I can just fuck around. It's not as deadly important. You know, when you're making something that fucking has to work, it's just so fucking stressful.
I've been told that you're working on something in the background, something new.
I can say that I'm working with two of the biggest people in this industry, and we are basically building a...
And then they were like, we need to reinforce the veranda to be able to hit the weight.
Yeah, that's...
And they had to put steel bars. They had to rip out all the beautiful wooden floor.
You made them do this shit.
Yeah. I made them do, motherfucker. And it ended up being $15,000.
Fuck me.
And I'm like, and at that point, I'm like, whatever. I want the damn jacuzzi. And then the day the jacuzzi arrives, I ask my assistant, how are they going to bring it up to the 20th floor? And they're like, they have a crane system.
No.
It was Ukraine, though. A Ukrainian crane.
Ukrainian crane.
Was basically 3 gym buff dudes with a, what is the system called? Like when you have a rope go up. And,
like a pulley?
Yeah, a pulley. It was a pulley system. And they just by hand, just and it took them the entire afternoon. They locked it at some point to have a lunch break, and then unlocked it again.
Okay, now.
And we have this video at home where we're sitting on the living room table working, and behind us is a huge window here. You see the jacuzzi come up like this. And then I had the damn jacuzzi. I went in there almost every day, and it was a dream come true. In the winter, it's snowing. And you're like one of these monkeys in Japan that are in these hot baths, you know?
Yeah.
You ever see that footage of these monkeys and it's snowing on their fur, but they're chilling in these steaming hot natural baths, and you're just steaming inside the jacuzzi? I've done business deals in this jacuzzi. I've had dates in this jacuzzi. I've had so many just evenings of thinking and ideation in that jacuzzi.
Yeah.
And then it was a pain in the ass though, because it had a roof that you had to put on it so the water stays warm.
Yeah.
And the wind kept blowing off the roof, even though, because you could clip it inside and it would still be blown off. And then one day it ripped off the whole clipping system and it blew it off the building, and it was nowhere to be found. I sent my assistant the blocks around to find it. If it dropped on the floor, no, it was gone. It must have just flown away. And then, and then I had it, and then the war happened. And then, of course, never went back. I think I got rid of the place just before that, though, because I realized I spent $12.5K for that a month. And then after a year, I asked my assistant, hey, just out of curiosity, can you calculate the days I was in Kiev versus days I traveled? Turns out I traveled 7 out of 12 months.
And you were paying the rent?
And I paid the rent. So I spent 70-something K. So I'm like, just not worth it.
Maybe that's why I don't like to leave the apartment, because I feel like I paid for it, so I should use it.
Exactly.
There you go.
So you're going to move to Bali.
Yeah.
Can I talk about that?
Yeah.
You said you want to move to Bali in a nice baller villa until you buy a next baller villa here, and then you move back here.
Well, yeah, and then when I get the Dubai one, we'll do 6 months. So we'll do, when it's too hot here, which it pretty much is now, as we know from going on the balcony, then we'll go to Bali, and then when it cools down here, we'll come back again.
What made you choose Bali over Thailand or any other sort of place over there?
Have you been to Thailand?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Thailand is a really beautiful place. It's just Bali is like Thailand with entrepreneurs. I would say like Thailand's a bit too quiet, a bit too relaxing, and for example, like Ibrahim was like, oh, I'm doing a mastermind in Bali. I'll be like, I'll be there, no problem. My buddy Dan Bolton is doing a mastermind. He's like, do you want to come? I'm like, no problem, I'll be there. And that wouldn't happen in Thailand, Bali it's got the same chilled energy, especially where we got a villa, because we got it just outside of Perenninan. So it's just on its own.
Yeah.
Really beautiful. But equally, it's very relaxing, but you still got a bit of entrepreneur stuff going on,
It's funny what Ibrahim told me earlier about you, which I didn't know, is you used to be a very successful DJ.
Yeah.
Is that true?
It is. Yeah. So I've DJ'd in over 45 countries.
Holy shit. I had no idea. What style? Drum and bass or?
I started out playing drum and bass when I was very young, and then I was at a buddy's house to buy some records, and I found some dubstep records, and I was like, what's this slow drum and bass? And he was like, no, it's not slow drum and bass, it's called dubstep. And this is very early, back when it was very dubby dubstep. Yeah. I was like, wow, it's amazing. And then he sold me those records, then I got into dubstep, and in the end I ended up getting signed to this quite big dubstep label run by this DJ called Mala. And when Mala signed me, I got an agent, I got a manager pretty much straight away.
No way.
3 weeks later, I was DJing in Sweden, DJing in New York, DJing in China, touring India. Holy shit. It's crazy, man.
How much does that pay at that kind of level? Because you were probably not like Avicii level or something like that. No. I mean, touring, how much can a person make on that level?
Well, some months I could make as much as 8, 9, 10, 11K. Some months I'll make zero. If I didn't have a show, I made zero. Some months, towards the end of my career, I was getting paid about $700 to $900 per set, basically. And I would do about one a week when I wasn't on tour. So some of the shows would be 500, some would be 7, some would be 400, some would be 900. But if you averaged it out, probably 2 to 3K a month.
Interesting, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no record sales anymore, right? You only get paid when you gig?
Pretty much. You get money you do get a bit from selling records, but not a lot. You might get $2,000 per release if you're lucky.
Wow.
So it's just nothing. And this is right. So one day I came home from a show. I was DJing in London at this club called Fabric. And I came home and there was a trading documentary on TV. Right. And it was very glamorized. It was not very real. It was clearly made for TV.
Yeah.
And it showed there was like an older guy and a younger woman and a younger guy, older, whatever. And it was telling all these different people's stories. And that was the first time in my entire life that I learned that you could make money from the internet.
What year was that?
This was, it was either 2017 or 2018.
All right.
And that was the number one first time in my entire life that I finally found out you can make money from a computer. And it just blew my mind. I was like, so you're telling me I can not leave the house and I can make money? And I thought, well, if I could do it with DJing, I could finally make good money and I can stop scraping by on 1 or 2 or 3K a month. And now I could make more. So I instantly opened a trading account, put £500 in. Beginner's luck, I grew that up to about 7, 8K over about 4 or 5 months.
Oh, shit.
Wiped almost all of it in a day. And then took some out. I bought my first ever course for £300. I got my first ever mentor. And that's kind of where the story pivots away from music to trading. And then that ended up getting me my first ever e-learning customer. Someone messaged me one day asking for help. That started the e-learning company and the rest is history, really.
That's crazy because you strike me as a very analytical person. You clearly understand the numbers, the systems behind it. That's also obviously what you're talking about. But then hearing that you were a DJ, which is very much, the other brain half.
Yeah.
Was that something you were always aware of? Was it something you naturally transitioned in? Was it hard for you to rethink, or how can I imagine that?
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, when I was younger, the first thing that I really did and loved was skateboarding.
No shit.
So I used to, that I just loved it, man. That was like my number one passion in the world. I just lived to skateboard all the time. And through skateboarding, I learned about graffiti, right? And before I talk about graffiti, right, instead of just skateboarding, I got a camera, I got editing software, and I would make skateboard videos and then try and sell them to my friends.
Yeah.
Right. And then I got into graffiti, and instead of just writing, like the other writers that I knew and painting, I started a graffiti magazine. So I got Photoshop, and I would take the pictures as we went all over England and interview other writers, and I made a magazine, and I would save up to make them myself and just make 100 copies, and then I gave them to art stores to sell them on like a sale or return basis. And again, instead of just doing it, I made it a product. And then when I got through graffiti, I got into music, because one of my writer friends DJ'd on the side, who I told you earlier I was buying records from. And that led me to music. And instead of just buying records and playing it, I started making my own music and trying to get it signed, you know. So every time I've ever done something, I've turned it into a product and tried to sell it, you know. So it's skateboard videos, graffiti magazine, records, trading. I even ended up productizing by making a course and doing coaching and stuff.
Yeah.
So I've always just liked making things and building things and figuring stuff out, you know. It's quite strange. So I don't know where it comes from.
Did you ever play Lego as a kid?
No.
Did you ever play strategy building games, like video games?
I played video games, but not for very long. And it was just like Grand Theft Auto, Drive, you know, just those kind of games. It was never building games, no.
That's interesting, because what you said about like creating something, and that was always the common theme.
Yeah.
That resonated a lot with me. It was very similar as a kid. That's why I asked you about Lego and video games. Is like I was obsessed with Lego, but only ever with the building stage of it. Like I loved the idea of like I get something and I build it, and then once I built it, I was like, I'm no longer interested in it. I used to tear it apart and build it again until I got bored of that. And then video games came along. I was always addicted to the city builder video games, where you could just build a city, you built the economics behind it, you let it grow, you let it prosper. And then until I reached like 100%, and then I would get bored and I get a new game. And then I got hooked on video games for the longest time. And then I also became a musician, more like in the heavy metal direction, with playing guitar. I had a couple bands, and there was also just the creative process of creating a song and the artwork and the brand around it, and what would we wear on stage, and kind of like the whole package around it was always the creation side of things. And then when I started with my first business, the dating consulting business, it was, I remember I woke up one day and I opened my tabs of like, here's my YouTube channel, here's my Instagram, here's I can't remember what we used like as a payment processor, but it had like a dashboard where I could see how much money came in overnight. And I looked at all the numbers and, you know, how much they grew overnight, like plus 1% or whatever. And I'm like, oh wow, this is just like the video games. It's like I read the video game stats, but instead of like high score points, it's like real subscribers or real money. And I'm like, holy shit, I could actually do things with this in the real world. This is pretty interesting. So it gave me like a quantification, and that all of a sudden made me addicted to business. And I haven't stopped with that addiction yet, because you can just play this game infinitely, which is very, very interesting that for you, that was also the common theme. And that's how, when I started watching your content, I can't remember if I found it organically or if someone recommended it to me, but I was like, when I watched your videos, I'm like, this guy clearly doesn't need his YouTube channel. This guy clearly, it wasn't one of your first videos about like how you sold your 8-figure company or something like that. So I'm like, okay, this guy clearly is not one of these gurus that has the YouTube channel as some sort of funnel to make money. Like, this guy already has the money, and I could feel it with everything. The way the video was edited with like no cuts, the way you presented it, like completely freestyle with no like weird fucking script behind it. The way the thumbnails and the titles looked, like these are good thumbnails and titles, but they're not over-engineered, split-tested to the death.
Yeah.
And like everything about that screams like this guy just wants to create awesome things and build something. And I think that's what made your content blow up so much. People feel that authenticity behind it. Your only goal is just to create and build cool shit.
Dude, I love how talking about skateboarding, like kind of brought that conclusion together. But I think that's the root of it, man. I mean, I was thinking about this earlier today, right? So I just realized yesterday that from the real estate portfolio, I make about 1.3K a day in rent now, right?
Sick.
And I literally just realized that yesterday. And my first thought was, well, why the fuck are you still working then? You know, and honestly, I went for a cigar on the balcony. I was just thinking, when will I stop? You know, because now I kind of could stop, especially with the bloody living in Bali. Couldn't get a cheaper place.
True.
You know, and we own the villa outright and that kind of thing. So I was thinking, you know, why? But I still feel this drive to just create shit. You know, like doing the ads this afternoon, what the fuck would we do if we didn't do business, you know?
It's a very real question. I had the same feeling after my first business. I could have retired, and people even asked me, like, are you going to retire now? Because, I mean, I probably didn't have enough to live like a baller for the rest of my life, but I could live pretty comfortably for like decades. And I'm also like, it was the furthest away. That was the furthest away option for me. Like, retire? What? Like, even if I would retire, I would probably have another project. I would, or whatever, become like a streamer, just stream about playing video games, or a musician. I would always create something because I really loved it. And me being me, I chose the most difficult option of them all, which is like figure out cold traffic and eat shit for the next 2.5 years while rebuilding the entire company, recreating a new offer, etc. But I did it, and I think like otherwise I'd just get fucking bored. And I think it's because our brains are so wired on fixing problems and finding solutions to it that I think we all start with, hey, if I figure out X amount of solutions to X amount of problems, I can make X amount of money. And at some point, the money is not necessary anymore, like you said, but the brain is still hooked, and it's like, yeah, wake up, task of the day, find problems and find solutions. It's just so caught up in that, which is great because it's who we are. It's what we've become.
Definitely. Do you feel like the money though is quite addictive? The cash flow. Sure.
Also,
right.
But at a certain point, it has like the amount that you make extra gives you less and less, right? So it's like the difference between making 500K at the end of the day, EBITDA, or 400K, you're like, it doesn't titillate my brain that much anymore.
Yeah, definitely. I've only got one more kind of like buy something goal, and that's just the Dubai villa.
Yeah.
And part of me doesn't want to get it because when I get it, I'm like, well, there's literally nothing else to buy. I mean, apart from maybe a private jet or something, which is just ludicrous.
I was going to say, private jet, man.
So I'm just thinking like, what am I going to want next?
Yeah.
And why? And will I want something else? And what will I want? So it's funny, man.
It's a mindfuck.
It just never ends.
It's funny that you mentioned private jet. I've talked to Cole Gordon. I'm not sure if you know him.
Of course, yeah.
He was on the podcast as well. He said exactly the same. He's like, I only got one more thing to buy, and that's a private jet. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, you know, like traveling sucks. You got to go there 2 hours early, even if you're first class.
Yeah.
For private jet, you just show up. And he said exactly the same. It's like, after the private jet, I wouldn't know what else to buy. And you know what I think it is? Like, once you got that, you'll just start giving it away. I think that's where your brain goes in a different direction. That's where you start foundations.
I agree.
That's where you just say, you know what, fuck it. Hey, like, is there a species of whales that we can save? Fuck it, let's just set up a foundation or help the kids in XYZ country.
Yeah.
And then you're going to play a whole new level, because then it's you're playing an even bigger game, I think.
You know what? I actually think you're right there. I think the next thing I would probably buy is buy my brother a house.
Exactly.
And then buy my mum a watch, and buy my brother a car, and my dad another car, and all this stuff. So yeah, I think then you've kind of got to sort yourself out first. But I think the next thing to do is, sort your family out. Then the next thing is probably sort your friends out. The next thing is probably just help random other people through charity. So I think it kind of does move outwards like that.
I think so, yeah.
What else are you going to do with the fucking money?
Yeah, what else are you going to do? You mentioned the real estate portfolio. How did you start with that? Because for me, I'm like, I never dealt with real estate, never thought about it. And now, you know, my whole active income. So I always started putting money away into crypto, gold, and whatnot. Like have some shares in companies as well, but never touched the real estate thing. But I get more and more interested in it. So I think like this year I'm gonna start buying my first, small things. How did you exactly get started with that?
Yeah.
How did you scale it to the level where you're now making 1.3K a day with it?
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, real estate was, I remember back when I was a musician, right? I went to a real estate one-day conference thing where you could learn about it. Because when I was younger, my dad always said to me, if you're ever lucky enough to make a lot of money, buy real estate with cash and put it away so that you don't lose it. And my dad always used to sow the seeds of doubt in me. He was always like, oh, what if you break your leg and you can't fly and then you can't DJ anymore? Or what if this happens? What if this happens? So as I started to make decent money as a musician, my dad was like, oh, you better save the money. Or what if no one likes your music anymore later? And then I happened to go to this real estate conference and they were talking about how you can buy it and then it goes up in value and you can also rent it out. So you kind of make money from it two ways. And it just felt like a very safe, good investment because you can buy it, you can live in it, then you don't have to pay rent and it goes up in value and you can rent it out. So I just really liked the asset class, And I also thought maybe that was my way to make more money as a musician. I always used to think like, if I can just buy like a 100K house, I could rent it out for maybe 600 a month. That would cover my bills. And then I could do music for fun instead of needing the income from music. And that's my first ever wealth plan, was just stay at home with my parents, make as much money as I could from music, slowly buy houses, rent them out to get the extra money. And over time, I would make more decent money. So that's what I started doing. I saved up enough for a deposit. So my first ever house, it was 51K for a little 2-bed house in the north of England. And I bought it on a 25% deposit, put like 15K in, rented it out. Then I got another one, which was like 70K on a deposit. Same thing again.
And you always had the rent money pay off the rest?
Yeah. Yeah. So I would have a mortgage of, let's say, 250 a month. I'd rent it for, say, 600 a month and keep the little bit of profits, like 300, 400 a month. But by the time I bought my second one, it was around that time that I discovered trading. And it led to the info business. And that made money quite fast. So in year one of the info business, I made about, I think it was, I can't remember, 30K, 40K, something like that. The next year I made about $250,000. The next year I made about 1.3 million. So by year 2, I was actually using that money to pay off the mortgages. So then I had 2 mortgage-free places. Then I bought an apartment. And then, as I made the info money, I just put it in real estate, man. Because again, I was scared that it would either stop or that I would waste it. So I was always very driven by fear. And I was like, oh, when I get this money, I better fucking keep it. Not waste it. So I didn't buy clothes, didn't buy a car. When I moved out, I moved into a 1.5K studio. It wasn't even really a 1-bed. It was like a big room with a bed and a kitchen, Because again, I was scared. I didn't want to waste the money.
Yeah.
And I was making about 30K a month at the time. And I was still scared to spend 2, so I had a lot of fear.
Yeah.
But I just put it all in real estate, man. So, and then over the years, they've got bigger, and then I was buying 2 apartments at once for $500,000. And then I bought one in this building downstairs for like 1.2. Then I bought this for 1.9. And they've just got bigger and bigger and bigger, to the point where this is my 12th one now.
Wow. So do you always buy them ready to go, or do you renovate them? Do you flip them first?
Buy them ready to go.
Buy them ready to go?
Yeah.
Fuck it. Just don't even deal with it.
No.
It's a good idea, actually.
Yeah.
Because I think about this a lot. I'm like, okay, if I want to get into real estate, how much of my focus will it take? And then, if I want to like make it nice and profitable, I probably have to deal a lot with it. And then complications arise in the process. And then that takes my focus away from the main business. So ultimately, it's actually like minus EV because I have such high opportunity costs because I have to split my focus, which is, I guess, the reason why I just buy them ready to go, because I don't have to deal with much.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's really, people always say real estate is really hard. It's not hard at all. I've never, if it's hard, I've never experienced it. Like I don't hear from, the tenants don't know who I am. because they rent from a management company. So they don't know who I am, where I live, or whatever. They just send the management company the rent. They take 10% off, wire me the rest. I had some come in about an hour before this podcast.
Nice.
So it just flashes up on my phone and it goes into the bank account. And whenever something happens, they just WhatsApp me. Like a few weeks ago, they were like, the bath has leaked. There's a bit of mold and it needs a replacement. It's $300. Should we do it or not? Like, do it, done. And then they just take it off the rent and send me the rent minus 300. So you don't even pay for it.
Wow.
They just take it off the rent.
Wow.
So it's so simple.
So the management company also covers part of the costs, or what exactly is their responsibilities?
So their responsibility is essentially to, if you're starting from scratch, they've got to find you a tenant. They vet the tenants. Then,
sweet.
They will say to you, right, well, we've got these 3 tenants that want the apartment. Can you check out their applications, their job, their income, whatever, whether they had pets, whatever it is. And then I'm like, right, yep, let that guy in. And then they sign a 12-month contract. They pay a deposit. So they pay for 2 months up front. And we keep 1 month just in case. And then if something went wrong, let's say like, I don't know, a leg breaks on the chair. Well, I'll get a WhatsApp and they'll say, well, a leg's broken on the chair. It is £40 to fix it. Can we send a contractor tomorrow? Yes, you can. No problem. And then when the rent is due, I'll get the PDF in my email and it will be minus £40.
Love it.
And they'll just wire me the rest.
Love it.
So
No pain in the ass, nothing.
no pain in the ass. For almost all of the units that I own, I haven't even... Some of the tenants have been in there for 2 years, 3 years. I haven't even heard from them, ever. And a couple of the units have doubled in price as well. Now, so the first one I ever bought for about, I think it was 51, is now worth about 110. The second one I bought was about, I think it was like 64 or something, is now worth about 130.
Over what time span are we talking about here?
Over 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 20, about 5 years.
Sick.
5, 6 years
Yeah.
ish. So you get the growth, you get the rent every month as well. So it's great, man.
I gotta start doing that.
Yeah.
I gotta start fucking putting some money onto that. You make it sound so much easier, and I trust your judgment more than,
It is. I mean, it is. Yeah.
It's funny because like every time, like the biggest problem I hear is like vetting the tenants, because you have to like understand like who's gonna fuck me up, who's gonna be a pain in the a. But you're just outsourcing it as a management company. They probably vetted thousands of people before, so they probably know what they're doing.
Yeah, and it goes through I can't remember what it's called, but it goes through like a search.
Yeah.
Where they scan the variables, like some AI thing, and it knows how long they've been in their job, whether they've ever had any debt, how much debt they've got. So it kind of gives them a ranking on a 1 to 10 scale. 10 is like dream thing, and 1 is like do not let them rent. And most of them, especially for the city centre apartments that I've got, they're always 8s.
Wow.
7, 8, 9s. They're like a fucking doctor, lawyer, nurse.
What's the differences in countries? You have real estate in the UK and Dubai and other places as well?
Yeah, so I've got 1 in Bali, 2 here, and the rest in England.
What's the difference, if there is any?
Well, the nice thing about Dubai is they can pay annually. So you don't get it monthly, you get it annually, which is pretty fucking sweet.
Why?
Well, imagine if we rented this place, we would get around 10 to 11k
Per month.
per month.
Yeah.
So if someone moves in on a 1-year contract, you just get wired 120 grand in cash.
Oh, right away.
Right away.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I prefer that.
Because the tenant pays it in a year?
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah. So in Dubai, you usually pay either annually or in half. So 6 months up front, or at the worst quarterly. So my tenant downstairs pays quarterly. And it's just, I don't know, it just feels better to just get it quarterly for me.
Yeah.
Better. And then you can, because I store a lot of cash in high interest bank accounts. So the sooner I get it in there, the sooner I can start getting the 5% on that as well. So, but yeah, what's the difference? People in Dubai seem to care more. They're usually entrepreneurs. They've got the capital. They're not going to fuck up your apartment. You know, the guy downstairs moved a big sick piano in, which looks dope. Yeah, and you get a lot more rent as well. You know,
that is actually really, really, really interesting. What you said earlier, I found pretty cool. Where you said like you've been very fear driven, especially with finances. It's funny. I had already made my first million, and I just got off the back of 4 years of world tour, and I moved to Helsinki, and I was like, okay, this is the first time ever since I was a student that I get my own place. I'll rent it. And I'm like, okay. And in my head, it cannot be more than 1,000 euros a month rent. And I found a place that was exactly 1,000 euros a month. And it was like a student studio type thing. It was a living room with a bed in it and a separate kitchen and one bathroom. And I lived in there, and I was super happy. I'm like, what do you mean? It's got everything I need. Like, I have a corner. It was like a tiny table like this where I could put my laptop on to work to make my second $1 million program. That ended up making me my second $1 million launch. I had a kitchen where I could cook my meals and I could calculate my macros, and I had a bathroom where I could shower. That's all I really needed. And then a friend of mine who's also an entrepreneur in Germany, he visited me. He flew me out. I was on his podcast. And he enters the apartment. He's like, what the fuck is this? I thought you were a millionaire.
Yeah.
Like, this is like a student apartment. I'm like, yeah, what's the problem? He's like, I thought you're going to live baller. Like, why wouldn't you live more baller? And it clicked for me for the first time. I'm like, yeah, like, why wouldn't I? And I realized it was still like my old belief of like, don't spend a lot of money on rent because you never know what's going to happen. But I had already over $1 million on my bank account. My question to you is, has that changed? Do you still have fear in your decision making, the same amount, less, or even more?
Great question, man. Great question. I would say a similar amount, but I just it's very strange, man. It's, you know, the whole psychological brain thing. I think when you're driven by fear, it's really hard to get rid of it, you know. And even, you know, one of the things that I do, I keep a disgusting amount of liquid cash, you know, which many people would just think is just ridiculous. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I still feel just as driven as when I started the last business. And I still have the same amount of worry and fear, but it's just less logical now. And I know that it's less logical now, so I can kind of bat it away faster.
Yeah.
You know, when I was back in my parents' spare room and I felt the fear, it was like 100% intensity. It was like, I am broke as fuck and I need to solve this. And now if I feel the fear, I'm like, I'm just going to look around. I'm like, well, yeah, but nah, it's all right. It's all right.
Yeah.
So I still do feel it, but I can control it a lot better now.
It's funny. I spoke to Elliot Hulse once. He was on the podcast as well, and one of his old videos still resonates with me to this day. It's like, imagine you're walking down the street, you're by yourself, and all of a sudden you have a rabid dog starting to bark at you. He's aggressive. He's one of these pit bull dogs that could take down a human, and he's starting to charge at you, and he's clearly there to fuck you up. So what do? You start running. Your legs are starting to go as fast as you can. Your heart pumps faster. You start sweating. You're in full-on fight or flight mode. And you run 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 and you turn around, the dog's still there. You turn around, the dog's still there. You keep running. You turn around and the dog's not there anymore. It's hard to then stop and relax. You're going to be on fight or flight mode for much longer, perhaps the whole rest of the day. And I think that's what happens to a lot of entrepreneurs. You start running because you're broke living in your parents' basement. In my case, I was broke. I was a student. I was unhappy with my life. And I started running, and we start running, and we run, and we make more and more capital. Next thing you know, you live in Dubai, you own real estate, you do whatever the fuck you want, but that dog is still very much alive in your brain. That dog might have died a while ago already. Yeah. But I think, and honestly, I think it's healthy.
I think it's very healthy, man. I think it's really, really healthy. Like, and I've seen, you know, I won't, maybe I should tell the story, but I've seen things go wrong.
Let's hear it.
For people, you know.
Yeah.
Well, man, I just had this friend who, the business basically stopped working. And he was just one of those people who spent the money as fast as he got it.
Was it Infobiz?
Yeah.
Okay.
Info/agency kind of hybrid thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, dude, he's one of those guys where he's got 2 cars and 7 watches, and he's renting 3 different apartments in different parts of the world, even when he's not living there, and stuff like that. And when things go wrong, then they go wrong really fucking fast.
Yeah.
And then you've got the fear of dealing with it, which fucks you even more, Whereas if you've got loads of cash and you've got real estate, bought and you're safe, if that happens, you're kind of good. You can, it's a different approach. And okay, we're calm, we're good, we're solid. And then, you can save it a lot easier and a lot faster sometimes. But yeah, I've just seen people, and that just adds to my fear as well. I'm like, oh, fucking hell, So yeah, it's the dog analogy is a powerful one.
Yeah.
Even though you're almost certain that you're going to be good, you've got to be careful still, because things can change and you just never know when. So I think it is a healthy fear.
It's also, I feel like when you're at a stage where you have the cash, you have the passive income already anyways, your brain operates on a different wavelength and you have an easier time innovating and being creative because you're not obsessed. Like, I know this, I was in a situation where we had to eat shit for like 2.5 years to figure out cold traffic. And I was just living purely off my savings. I was maintaining the exact lifestyle because my lifestyle was never that lavish, but I was maintaining that, but I knew it was going to be finite because I was going to need to make some cash, especially if I want to build a family and I want to keep supporting my whole family and everything. So my mind was not in this thriving mindset. It was not in the creative mindset either. It was more like, check the stats every day. How much money are we going to make? When are we going to be profitable? You obsess with the notifications. Oh shit, it's 6 p.m. We still haven't made a close yet. We got to close this much to catch up.
Yeah.
And you're just like constantly in this like dealing with things. You get super addicted to cheap dopamine. You scroll a lot through Instagram. You get distracted very easily. I got really, really hooked on caffeine, just like drink coffee just to feel anything. And I was not in the space of like, let me come up with like cool ideas to innovate. And then once we started getting profitable with the cold traffic and the team was kind of operating by itself, all of a sudden it opened up this bandwidth and that extra frequency in my brain to think bigger picture, to come up with new ideas. And that's how I came back to relaunching the podcast, but with guests. That's how I came back to let me make more free content again. That's how I then reiterated version 3.0 and 4.0 of my old offer, which led ultimately to our current offer, which is by far the best and the easiest offer to sell that I've ever had. But I had to be in that mindset first where it allowed me to unlock, to tap into that creativity. Now, you being a very creative person that is in an entrepreneurial role, how do you access your creativity? Is it something that you consciously do every day, or is it something that just kind of comes like the muse?
It just comes. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think it just comes. But I can definitely relate to what you've just said there because, dude, my last company was very much like that. It was like 95% paid ads. And it was a massive sales team.
Yeah.
A big, hairy beast of a businessman. And dude, the day that I sold that thing, it was like a switch flicked off. And I went from like fucking check the fucking ads and how many closes have we had?
Yeah.
What's the ROI for the month?
Yeah.
All this fucking we need a meeting.
Yeah.
Just like, oh fuck this shit. Just like chilled. And it was so good, man. For the short period before my YouTube blew up, for that short period where I had no team and I just had a few clients making like 40, 50K, just pure cash profit, no ads, no team, no YouTube. It was pretty fucking nice, And I'm always tempted. It's always there in the back of my mind. I was like, I could just fire everyone, and I could just fuck it all off, and just get a few clients. It's very fucking tempting, man. So I can relate to some of these I really don't like these guys that like live in Bali and are happy with 10, 20K a month. I think like, come on, grab your fucking balls.
Same. Yeah.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah. You're under your potential.
I just don't like them. I respect them, for sure. But I'm like, come on, let's go. But equally, there's some beauty in that. There is some beauty in no ads, no team, no massive grind, no loads of data,
The way we made it work for me, especially mentally, is we figured out to just be super profitable on the front end with low ticket. And I can't share the exact numbers, but we're like, it varies between like almost profitable purely and like more unprofitable on the front end. So it's basically just like running ads for free. And that just did everything for me. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh my God. I don't need to fucking scream at the sales team. And coincidentally, sales team is doing even better now.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, maybe they don't feel the pressure or whatever. Or they just gotten really good over the years anyways. And that was really like the game changer for me. And then funny enough, the reason, the big change and also to the organic is like now I have the capacity to do organic stuff, to bring out content for free. But anyways, back to the main things is like, so you said the muse it just comes for you. What happens when you do get the idea and you're busy, you're doing something, right? You're in a meeting, you're going somewhere. Do you pause? Do you write it down so you don't forget?
I do. Yeah. So I remember a few weeks ago, I was just sleeping, with my girlfriend. And all of a sudden I was like, pass me my phone. I've got a YouTube title. I need to write the YouTube title down now. And I just had a sick title. It was like 2 a.m. or some shit. And she was like, what do you mean, pass me your phone? I was like, pass me my phone. Because I charge it on her side of the bed. And she passes me the phone. I just write it down. Because I've got like a notes in my iPhone of all the titles.
Yeah.
And I just think of titles all the time. And I'll just write them down. And if sometimes I just want to, like, I get a sick idea for a YouTube video. Like a few weeks ago, it was like 10 p.m. But I just had the best fucking idea. And I was at home and I was ready. So I just went in and shot the video. And that's a great thing, man. That's a great thing. So yeah, you've got to act on it because when you lose it, you can't, it's just never the same when you lose the inspiration, man.
I've had it so many times. So I'm like, I'll remember it.
You never remember it.
Oh, you fucking forget that thing.
I've done that so many fucking times, man.
It's come to a point where it's like, I'm on a highway, I'm driving a car, I'm operating a vehicle. I have that idea. I legit take the next exit, I park, and I write it down.
Got to do it.
You have to do it.
Got to do it.
And the iPhone notes, voice notes, I send my staff like, hey, random voice note, just write this down.
Yeah.
Things like that are incredible. I do have that, but I can also kind of force the muse to come to me. It takes about half an hour. I sit down, I start writing down ideas. And it's just like shit idea. And then they start getting better. And then all of a sudden it's a good idea. It's like very much momentum based. It was the same as a musician too. It's like you sit down, sometimes you don't feel it at all.
Painful.
Yeah, you just start dabbling with shit melodies. And after an hour when you're warm, you start grooving. And I think it's a little bit of a muscle that you need to build. But obviously, like, if you're ready and it just comes to you, just be ready to write that stuff down.
Yeah, God. I used to hate that with music, man. Because, like, the further I got in my music career, the more, like, I was money hungry. And the more money hungry I was, the worse it was. It was the harder to write music. And then you're just more trying to think what will sell, what will get a good reaction when I play it, rather than just making whatever you want. And you can never get those days back, man.
I was talking to Ibrahim about this on the way here. It's like it must be incredibly corruptive to the creative process.
Yeah,
because you stop expressing yourself and you start catering. I'm like, okay, what's gonna get me the next gig?
Yeah,
it's gonna get me the next album sale or whatever.
You know what? I was making ads this afternoon, and I was thinking, like, I was just in a funny mood. I was like, how can I make the ads funny? I was like, should I shoot them on the toilet? Should I shoot them whilst cooking? Should I shoot them? I ended up shooting them on the treadmill desk. I was like, I've never seen ads shot on a treadmill desk before, so I'm going to do them on the treadmill desk. But I feel like now that I'm at the stage where I don't really need more money, I can just fuck around. Because it's not as...
Love it.
It's not as deadly important. It's important, but it's not it's not like deadly important. So I think if you can get to that energy where you're kind of good and then you can fuck around, you often then do better work. That's a bit of a hack. When you don't need something to work, it's more fun to make because when you're making something that fucking has to work, it's just so fucking stressful.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, come on, it's got to work.
And people feel that.
Yeah.
People feel that.
It's horrible.
We used to teach that in the dating world all the time. It's like, if like women smell every gram of desperation on you, they smell it, they know it. So we would always teach our clients, try to not want anything from anybody. When you go out, when you approach someone, when you talk to people at a party, never be the guy who needs a good reaction, who needs the validation, who needs the phone number, who needs to get a kiss or whatnot to feel good. Try to feel as good as you can about your life, which is where the whole background of your life comes together. Like, are you going to the gym? Are you eating healthy? Are you working on something that you're passionate about? Are you going, to build something that you're interested in? Do you feel good in your business? Do you have so much to give that you don't need the reaction to feel good when you go to bed tonight? And then all of a sudden, the more you have that aura around you, all of a sudden, the more attractive people become to you. Like, guys want to be your friends, girls will want to be with you. And for a lot of guys, they're like, but I don't have anything going for me yet, right? It's the mindfuck is like, I think a lot of men have noticed that, like, the moment you have a girlfriend, all of a sudden, more women are interested in you. And you're like, where had you been when I was single? I don't need you anymore, right?
Yeah.
But because you don't need them, all of a sudden, they're interested in you. Yeah. So it's like a little bit of a mindfuck. And the hack that we used to teach our clients was, well, borrow the abundance from the future. If you're on the right path already, you're going out, you're working on your social skills, you're working on a better life, you're going to have that abundance where you don't need anyone in a year from now or in 2 years from now. So try to borrow it from the future and act as if you already have it, because now you can attract more and more people. And that happens to be the truth in the dating world, but it's also the same in the business world. Like you said, like all of a sudden you're coming up with funny ads ideas that probably will convert much better because you're like, this guy's funny, he doesn't need my fucking money. And I think that's what works. And again, like that was also the first thing I wanted to tell you earlier is like, that's probably what makes your content so attractive, because people know this guy doesn't need me to buy anything from him. He's just there to fucking give. And coincidentally, that's also something I want to ask you is like, you've become known to be like the white shirt guy. Like, you're not here to wear the crazy expensive clothes. In fact, when we were at lunch, you said you buy them at H&M.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Don't judge me.
Exactly. And was that a conscious choice, or did you just started wearing them and people started realizing it?
Dude, I've been wearing white t-shirts right back to the DJ days. Like, dude, I'll never forget, man. Like, I was once wearing a black t-shirt and I was walking through my hometown with this girl, and I bumped into like some other girl, and she was like, "Where's the white t-shirt? I've never seen you not wearing a white t-shirt. This was like 2012 or something." So I don't know. I've just always done it, man. I don't know. I just think they look clean and they're just normal, and you can wear jeans with them. You can wear nice shoes or not nice shoes. It's just easy.
Is your closet just white shirts? If you open it, it's just the same white shirt 100 times.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah.
More or less, yeah.
You should make an ad about that.
It's not
just
a bad idea.
Like how Ty Lopez used to have Here in My Garage?
Yeah.
You could be like, here in my closet, it's only white shirts. And then you obviously have to somehow connect it to the offer. But like that would be an interesting hook.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just I don't know, it's just simplicity. I just hate having to think about things that I don't think are important. It annoys me so hard. There's nothing worse, like, when you have to, like, travel and pack a suitcase. For me, I just put all the white t-shirts in my bag.
And how many days do I have?
Yeah, literally. And then I can just walk outside and I'm like, jeans, 2 pairs of black jeans, shorts, 2 pairs of blue shorts, 7 t-shirts, 2 pairs of these shoes, the exact same shoes. We're good to go.
That's a good thing, man. That's the crazy thing about the international market. They really don't care. It's so, because I, quote unquote, grew up in the German speaking market, and there it's very much about what is the person wearing? Are they even professional? Are they legit? And that's why I still wear the polo shirts. Almost every shirt I wear should have the brand name somewhere on it, because I'm still brainwashed from that. But then I see like all my competitors are just like, oh, it just wears a random shirt. It doesn't even matter anymore. But I'm still very much in that. And I think now it's too much on my brand mentality to switch back to not carry. But yeah, I just think it's fascinating that, especially in the international market, people don't care about that surface level stuff. And that's really, really beautiful, because it allows you to shine with actually what you have to say. One thing that I'd be interested in is, what does your team look like? Because you say you come up with the YouTube ideas, the YouTube titles. Do you have anybody assisting you with that, or is it all just you on the creative side?
So now I've literally just hired a YouTube coach to help me with just ideas, really. So I have a call with him every Tuesday for an hour, and we just chat. We just look at YouTube, and we just come up with 2 titles and come up with 2 hooks and a rough idea of what we're going to say, and that's it.
Sick.
Really. So he gives me a bit of help now. But traditionally, before hiring Jamie, I would just think of the titles myself, really. And then when I think I've got a good title, the video just comes to me.
Yeah.
You know, then I just know exactly what I'm going to say in the video, and then I just hit record and make it. Really, yeah.
Editing?
No.
Nothing?
No.
I mean, I see it in your YouTube videos. It's like you just press the button on the camera and you start talking. And even now, you're editing your own ads.
Yeah.
Super interesting.
Dude, I like to do things myself. You know, I was talking to Dan Henry about this. He came over for dinner a couple of weeks ago, and he was telling me about, oh my God, I asked this team member to do this and it ain't done. I asked this team member to do this and he did it fucking wrong. Then I had to hire this guy and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, dude, just fire everyone. You really don't need them. And we were talking about, you know who Wes Watson is?
Yeah, I heard of this name.
Wes Watson, there's a lot that he does and says that I don't agree with, right? I think he's a very, well, let's not get into it. But one thing that I do really like is that he does everything himself. You know, that when I learned that, I was like, that's good. That's actually good. And I really adopted that. And I've always done, in this business, I've done pretty much everything myself and just kept things immensely simple, you know, as much as possible. You know, we have a small team now. We've got 3 closers, 1 setter, a VA, a copywriter and a media buyer that help clients. And that's it.
Wow.
So pretty simple.
7 people or something.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Crazy. Who does your short form videos? Do you have someone do that on your Instagram?
Actually, yeah, we do. We've got an agency, and we basically just send them all the podcasts. And then they just send us batches of like 50 reels at a time, basically. Yeah.
And you look at them, you approve them yourself, or you just let them rip?
My VA does.
Okay.
Yeah, I trust him to do it. So
nice.
Yeah.
We do it similarly with the short form. We create specific content for short form specifically because our Instagram is one of our main funnels that brings us money. But the recycling stuff from the long form, also there, we just have guys that edit it, they look at it, they make the content, and then they send them, and I'm like, yeah, here, make the hook a little bit better, change it, etc., etc. But other than that, we just let it rip. What we also started just now is clipping. Have you heard of clipping?
Yeah.
It's where you pay per, I think right now we're paying $2 per 1,000 views or something like that they're bringing. And you just give them your stuff and like, go make cool clips from it. And the first day, some guy made a random clip from one of my pockets, already got 10,000 views.
Damn.
And it's pretty cool because you pay only when they get views and you incentivize them directly. And you never know what talented kid you find, right? Some random 18-year-old that is into like video editing. And it's funny, I feel like the younger the person is, the more they understand hooks because their brain is already so hooked on like short form dopamine. Like if you would show like an older person a video that takes like 30 seconds to get to the point, they wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
But if you show like a 15-year-old, a teenager, they're like, what the fuck is this? After 3 seconds, that's boring. So they're really, really, really good at understanding what makes people excited about that.
Yeah.
And I actually think that is the big advantage that new generation has. Because they clearly don't have the focus. They clearly don't have the work ethic. They clearly don't have the structural. They have huge amounts of entitlement because of people like us, right? Because we're like, fuck your job, go build a business. They have huge amount of entitlement, so they don't have a lot going for them, but they really, really understand short-form dopamine, short-form content creation, thumbnails, titles. They can be extremely good at copywriting. Some of the best people I worked with in the video editing space, content recycling space, and copywriting space were under 20 years of age. And they absolutely annihilate stuff. They're hard to keep. They're hard to maintain excitement for one thing. They constantly, suffer from shiny object syndrome. But when they're on fire, they really are on fire.
Dude, I'm so happy that I'm not born in this generation.
Yeah.
I'm honestly so fucking happy to have grown up without phones and computers and stuff.
What year are you born?
1990.
Same. When's your birthday?
5th of October.
26th of June.
Nice, dude. Nice. Yeah, so we're more or less the same age.
Yeah.
But
beautiful. Man.
We had it good, man, when we were kids.
Right.
And I think we are just a bit, but then again, I mean, there's advantages to both. There's advantages to both.
Sure.
And I think it's important to make that distinction, especially for long form YouTube. It's so powerful, man, when done right. But it depends what avatar you're going after. Like, I wouldn't do long form talking head YouTube if you had like a more mass market younger person offer.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd fucking do it if you've got more of an offer like we do, where it's more 30-year-old, 40-year-old, 50-year-old, 60-year-old.
Exactly.
They love it.
Because there you don't have to do the crazy editing. You don't have to do the intro animation, stuff like that. It was exactly the same for me. Our offer right now, we actually fare the best. I don't know the exact age anymore, but it was, I think, between 35 and 55.
Well, you told me that, didn't you, at lunch?
Yeah, I did. Okay.
Yeah.
It's so insane. It's like way older than I'm used to. Because my first business was 18 to 25, mostly. And now it's much older people. So these people, they don't need a flashy, sexy, crazy intro. They're absolutely fine. Like some of my videos are just cutouts from my seminars that are 4 hours long. I just have 4-hour videos on it and they love it because they do have the time. They do sit down and they don't need that constant dopamine spike, which makes it much easier for me because I'm like you, I'm a rambler. I love talking about one thing. Yeah. I don't like having to think too much of like, oh, but is this going to be interesting? And do I need to make that story a little bit shorter just to keep the retention up? No, I'm like, my YouTube video scripts are like, the intro I put a little bit more thought into, like what are the first couple sentences that I want to say? How do I make someone excited? And the rest is just 3, 4, 5 bullet points that I just write down. And then I just riff through those until the video is done.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
What was I going to say? So I think the power that we have in our generation is we grew up without the internet, which means we value things that are not necessarily short from dopamine, but we also understand how epic the internet is and how shitty things were before that.
Yeah.
Like, the communication. I remember I communicated with my grandma with written letters.
Yeah.
Which took forever. Especially then I was on tour, so my dad had to scan in the letters and send it to me on email. And then I would like reply and he would like print it out and give it to my grandma.
It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah. And now my grandma, she's on WhatsApp. And every now and then she sends me random like Q, like she accidentally pressed the Q button and sent it, she watches all my stories on Instagram.
That's mad.
She leaves like hearts everywhere. It's the cutest thing ever,
man.
And I sent her postcards nonetheless. But I think that's our advantage. Is like we understand the power of it.
Yeah.
And the only thing that we need to be aware of is that we continue to stay with the flow, to maintain an eye on it. What's the newest stuff?
True that.
To make sure that we don't turn into our own grandmas and be like, oh, this sucks. It's too fast for me. I'm not interested in it anymore.
Yeah.
And that almost happened to me with AI. It's like I was super busy at that time, and then ChatGPT dropped, and everybody was freaking out over it. And I'm like, I don't have time to deal with it. I'll look into it later. And then once I did in 2024, I'm like, holy fuck, this just changed everything.
Yeah.
And I instantly started writing custom GPTs, and all of a sudden I'm like, LinkedIn, for example. I never did anything with LinkedIn, never cared. All of a sudden, I'm just like, I created a custom GPT that I would like upload a post from Alex Hormozi and I would feed it all my information.
You told me about that.
Yeah. And it would just rewrite Hormozi's posts in my voice with my background story and it all performed super well. And I'm like, okay. So now I post on LinkedIn and it took me like 90 seconds on average for a post. And LinkedIn audience is great. They had so much fucking money. So I only have like 5,000 followers on LinkedIn, and like we convert extremely well from these 5,000.
Dude, do you think copywriters will get squeezed out of the market?
Yes.
100%.
I think there's going to be the top 10% of them that are using AI to copyright.
Yeah.
But all the shitty ones that were half-assing it in the first place, all going to be gone, yeah.
What other roles do you think are going to be removed?
All of them.
Media buyer?
Yes.
Nah.
Yeah, I already know, like, my media buyer basically just uses AI tools to scrape well converting other copies. And just like, my media buyer and my copywriter use ChatGPT for almost everything. Emails, ideation, especially now, I told you about this at lunch too, is like phone setting, gonna be replaced. Phone closing for easy offers, gonna be replaced. Now, extremely good closers are still gonna find a way because they'll still have a little bit of an edge.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll get rid of my sales team ever because it took us too long to build this epic company, and they're just so good, and it's so lovely and inspiring to work with these guys. But we'll probably have AI systems as an auxiliary. For example, right now we're scaling so fast, like our ads are so profitable, we could just like 4x, 10x ad spend overnight, but we couldn't handle all the leads. We like wouldn't know what to do with it. So, and it takes us too long to find, hire, train, and ramp up new people.
Yeah.
We're already hiring nonstop, but like we're already hiring 1 to 2 new people per week in an ideal world. So that like as an auxiliary role, we just turn the AI on, do a bunch of the calls, fill up the calendars until we have enough people to kind of replace that. Because I like the idea of like having an army, like a fight club of awesome dudes, you know? And now there's some of them are living in the same city together. They're like moving in together. And they're like, we're going to just do calls nonstop. And on the weekends, we get girls over, we party.
Dude.
They're all like 20 and they're like making 10K a month. For them, they're like, holy shit.
Mad.
And you have a little bit of a mentor role with them. So they're like epically grateful forever. And
how big is your team?
Sales team right now is, I think, 10 people.
And what about in total?
30-ish, I would say, with
it's pretty big.
Stuff like that.
Pretty big.
It's decent. I don't want, and the cool thing is like at the level that we have it right now, I overhired slightly because I wanted to be ready for scaling. So a lot of our delivery staff, they're like kind of just waiting for more clients to come in. So the delivery staff, it will carry us all the way to $1 million a month. We won't need more people. But with delivery specifically, I always want to be a little bit over than what we need, because the last thing I want is that we scale too fast and then the quality starts dipping for the client.
Definitely.
So I rather want to have like 1 to 2 coaches extra than we actually need, just to make sure we're ready for scaling.
Yeah.
Sales team, we need I think 4 more setters. We made the calculations to get $1 million a month, and closers, we need I think 1 more, and then we're good to go.
Nice.
Yeah. And then yeah, like in terms of AI, like video editing, AI software is getting better by the day. I mean, you know, what's it called? The one that we're using for podcasts? Opus.ai. Have you ever heard of it? You upload your whole podcast to it, you press a button, it makes like 10 videos from it. It like finds the topics. The only thing is it's not that good at creating hooks yet. So I would say it's about 30% of the videos it comes up with are actually good. The rest are not so good. But again, like that's the shittiest version we will have. It gets better by the week. Now you have, I mean, there's pages like, if you ever go to Instagram and you type in fat fellas, it's just as like completely AI generated content of like fat black dudes, like obese black guys doing like epic stuff, like riding on orcas in the Antarctic or floating up in space.
Yeah.
It's completely AI generated. This account started posting end of February 2025. It already has 400,000 followers. Yeah. And they're just selling like some crypto coin. But like imagine you would sell something actually of value, and it's all AI generated. It's probably like one kid in India that just knows how to prompt Sora, throws it up, and has a good time with it.
Yeah.
So I don't see much that AI cannot do. I told you about this at lunch too. It's like we have a coaching AI, meaning people can right now chat with my AI, and the AI knows everything that I've ever created a video about, which is basically everything I know. You're like me, like you have a piece of knowledge, you share it, you put it in a video, and you either share the video for free on YouTube or you put it in one of your programs. So the AI basically knows and will know everything I will ever know. So it completely clones my entire knowledge. And version 2.0, we haven't launched it yet, but version 2.0 will be hooked up to my voice. And my voice, you can create your voice with 11 laps relatively easily. It just needs like 20 minutes of your real voice.
Yeah.
It sounds pretty eerily like me. So now you don't chat with an AI. Now you're on a Zoom call with Max. And you're like, hey, Max, my ad spend is like this much. This is my ROAS. What do you suggest to do? And it knows like, okay, yeah, well, you can scale. You need this many creatives. You need this X, Y, Z. And that is pretty crazy. And then, stage 3 will be just a video avatar of me speaking to you on a fucking Zoom. Like we always joke around. We're like, I could at some point just be abducted by aliens or die in a fiery car crash, and the company will just keep running for years.
Yeah. Well, that's the dream, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I hope it becomes a reality.
Absolutely, because also for businesses like ours, they are traditionally hard to exit because it's a personal brand, right? So for a person who buys it, it's just less attractive because they're like, okay, well, you're the face of the brand, you're going to be gone, everything will stall. Well, not anymore, because you just sell the rights to your AI liking. And maybe you have a contract of like, okay, you can never have me say this, you can never have me sell like or penis pumps or something like that. Like it always needs to stick to this topic. But other than that, go with my AI and do whatever as you please.
Dude, 100%. I'm doing a whole 5-day bloody event about this thing. Have you seen that yet? No. You haven't seen it?
What is it?
So it's called the Info to Exit Challenge.
Oh, no shit.
And it's coming up in 2 weeks on the 5th of May. And every day is a different theme, all about how you can turn a personal brand into an info business and make it saleable and sell.
Wow.
Essentially. So.
And how long does it take in an ideal scenario from creation to sell?
Depends on the person and the business. Yeah, it depends on the person and the business. But no one's ever done anything like this before. And this is some of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about, man.
Sick. It starts on the 5th of May, you said?
5th of May.
Perfect. Yeah. We're going to make sure we launch this podcast before that. How can people sign up for it?
Infotoexit.com.
Beautiful. That's easy. Okay, of course.
Yeah.
Good. How much did the domain cost?
$97 for a ticket.
No shit.
$97.
That is cheap.
Yeah, it's gonna be, dude. The value is fucking 1,000 times the ticket cost, man. It's gonna be very, very fun.
Love it. That's great. That's epic. What a G, William Brown. I cannot overstate how much I'm learning in this episode. I always learn the most on my podcast, I would say. And if you learn something as well, please do consider dropping a 5-star rating on iTunes or Spotify. And if you're watching this on YouTube, give a comment and a thumbs up. It helps us rank higher. It helps me reach more awesome guests like William, whose content I've been consuming for quite a while already. And I can get these people on and ask them awesome questions for you and I to learn even more. It's such an amazing journey, this podcast. I am so appreciative of you listening, watching. Really, it comes from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. And now back to the episode. Do you, you said you also have a book.
Yeah.
Is that about the same topic?
Yeah, How to 10 Million. So that, I wrote it I wrote it during the sale of my last company, actually. And it's just everything that I've ever learned about how to do what we do, essentially. So just everything, absolutely everything, from kind of start to finish. So yeah, and that's been a great way to acquire customers, man, for sure.
How was the writing process?
It's fucking fun. It was really fun. It took me about a year and a half.
Damn.
Year and a half.
Every day, 2 hours, an hour, 30 minutes.
Yeah. I used to do, so I did 2 hours a morning for about 2 months. Then I stopped for a couple of months and then went back to it and did the same again, then did the same again. And then after a year, I'd more or less finished the book. And then I worked with a book company where they did the edit, they did the proofread and made it a real book, because it was a bit of a mess. They were like, this paragraph's too long. This fucking chapter is way too long. This chapter is too short. You can't say that. You need to put images in. So they kind of made it a real book.
Yeah.
For me, but I just love writing it so much, man.
Interesting.
Bloody loved it.
Did you use any ChatGPT to help, anything like that?
Nothing.
Just a Google Doc or?
Google Doc. Yeah. I just banged out the whole thing. And then they cleaned it up and did the proofread and just make it professional and nice. Then we got an illustrator to do some illustrations for it. And that was it, man. But it was a labor of love.
Wow.
No AI, no ghostwriters.
Love it.
The real shit. And it's basically just everything that I've ever learned is in that book from if you were brand new to exiting the bloody thing.
You gonna self-publish, or what's the deal behind that?
Yeah, we just self-published it. Yeah, so it came out last April. It's about a year ago now. And it's a great asset to have, man. Great asset to have.
Dude, I think people underestimate books for whatever fucking reason.
Yeah.
The book that's why I asked you earlier, I'm like, what book recommendation you have? And I got the book right away.
Good.
Because I'm like, some books can alter your mind in such a heavy degree that like, and the thing is like the price of a book, it's like $9 on average or whatever. And the money you get out of it, the ratio between price and what you get out is just insane.
100%, man. 100%.
Do you have an audiobook of that as well?
Yeah, it's me reading it.
No shit.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask. Oh,
yeah.
That's sick.
That was hard. That was not very fun.
How long did it take you to read through the whole damn thing? Because you already wrote it, you know?
Yeah.
And then you're forced to read through it as if you're excited about it.
Dude, that was a mission. Well, I mean, I think the audiobook is like 9 hours.
Damn.
I think. But it took triple that to make it. Because obviously you make mistakes.
Yeah.
And then at one stage I sent them some audio and the audio was not clear. You were like, you've got to redo it. It was a mission, mate. It was an absolute mission. But I'm so happy it's done now. So, yeah, you can get paperback and hardback from Amazon. You can get the audio book. You can get the ebook.
Audiobook on Audible?
On Audible.
Hell yeah, dude. I'll get it.
Yeah.
I'll get it. If you read it yourself, especially then.
Get it, man.
What made you do it yourself and not just outsource it to some reader?
Because that way, because that's what I would want. You know, there's nothing better than when you know it's the real author reading it. Because it's just more, you build more of a connection with them.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's just, because then, God, it's not the same when it's some fucking American, you know what I mean? Like, where it sounds, you know, when it's like not the author and they hire like a professional audio book person, it's just not the same, man. It's not the same.
True.
So it's awesome when the author reads it. And I thought, well, I want to give people what I would want.
Yeah.
So,
amen to that.
Yeah.
What is it called? How to 10 million?
How to 10 million, sell your knowledge and make millions.
Love it. Interesting.
Yeah.
So with your YouTube channel, what was the intention behind it to get started in the first place? Because it's probably, you know, it's intimidating to get started. It's like a new thing. You got to figure it out. How was the first couple videos? How well did they perform? And then also, what's the future? Do you have a specific plan you want to get to with the YouTube?
Yeah. Well, when I started like everybody probably does, I just copied other people. So I got 2 cameras set up, editor, cheesy thumbnails, and that's just how I just thought that's what you do. You know, that's what the big guys do, so that must be what you do. So that was my first 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 videos. And then the day that I sold my company, I'd lent one of the cameras to one of my buddies. And it was like 4 p.m. and I know it goes dark at 6. And I was like, if I don't make a video now, I'm going to have to fake it tomorrow and pretend that it's real.
Yeah.
And I was like, I better just do it now. So I ordered a coffee. I gave myself like 20 minutes just to think, right, what am I going to say? And I just got my iMac built-in camera. And when the coffee arrived, I just got it, pressed record, and I was like, I've just sold my company. And I thought I'd make a video about it.
How was that fucking video?
Was that the video?
I remember. Aren't you having your coffee on the thumbnail?
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is he holding the fucking coffee? That coffee on the thumbnail made me click.
Yeah.
And the title's like, I just sold my company or something like that, right?
I just sold my company.
That is so funny, man.
Yeah. So, and that was my first ever time that I did that, right? So I just shot it, uploaded it immediately, right? No editing, no planning, no scripting, nothing. And you can tell, right, I think. And that was my biggest ever video. And it got like 110k views. It got me so many clients. Some massive guys, massive, I won't name names, but massive, the biggest guys were messaging me. Be like, wow, well done, mate. You know, wow, this is amazing. This is going to change the industry and shit. I was like, wow, it was the best thing ever.
Sick.
Yeah, it's just the best thing ever, man. And then I learned, I was like, well, hold on. My edited planned ones don't really get any views. This one has just changed everything. So let me just try again, you know. And then I made one called like how to make 10k a month ASAP. That's got 500,000 views, you know. It had 250,000 views in a fucking month, for God's sake. I was like, wow, no effort, no plan, no thumbnail, you know. So I was like, well, this is clearly the way. And then I just kept doing that, stopped doing what didn't work. And that's it, basically. And then when that video blew up, I was forced to hire a closer because it booked so many fucking calls. It booked hundreds of calls.
Damn.
Hundreds of calls. Dude, we went from, in December, I did about 70K on my own, cash. In January, we did 370, was it 300, whatever it was, like 370 cash. So we like 6x the business because of that one video. It was mad.
Sexy.
So it was just crazy. Yeah.
How I remember that with my first business, it was purely organic. The problem was the ups and downs were so much wilder than with paid ads. So you'd have a video that will go viral. Like you said, all of a sudden you're like, okay, I need 4 more staff, 2 more closers, 2 more setters. You hire these guys, they're closing, and then after a couple months it started going down, and you happen to not hit virality. So now you're like, okay, now these guys don't have any calls.
Yeah.
You have to let them go or they quit. Now the next video goes viral. Oh shit, we need more people again. How do you deal with that?
We've had that, but not extreme, right? So when the first video blew up, it was just an unimaginable amount of fucking calls. And then I hired 2 reps at once, and then we were fine for about 3 months. Then the traffic started tailing off, right? Not in an extreme way, but it slowly got less and less and less. And then I got another big video, like maybe 3 or 4 months later, and another big video maybe 4, 5, 6 months later. But honestly, it's got to the stage now where we average about 3,000 to 4,000 views a day, right? And the calls are immensely consistent.
Wow.
Immensely consistent.
Nice.
And it's just like 6, 7, 8 calls a day. Obviously, we get 4 cold days and 12 cold days and 9 cold days and 7 cold days. But it's just around that 7, 8 calls a day mark. Very, 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 very consistently. So,
what's the qualification rate on average?
I couldn't give you an accurate number on that.
Okay.
Yeah, but I know that the close rate's 31 averaged out. I know that we do about 3 to 4K views a day. I know we book about 7-ish calls a day.
You do pre-qualify them on setter calls first before closing calls, or they just have direct closing calls?
They just go straight through the calendar.
Oh, okay.
And we just got a very heavy survey.
Yeah.
Very heavy survey.
You disqualify them on the survey.
Yes. So we let anyone book, and then my VA cancels the shit surveys, basically, yeah.
Because I can imagine your audience being usually pretty qualified because you have pretty high-level topics.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and the survey is so heavy that if you make it through it, you're pretty fucking qualified, because it's meant to scare people off. And we get a lot of messages from people saying, I was going to book, but I saw the survey and I was like, I better not. So I was like,
good.
Yeah, good. And then,
that's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, and then they go to a setter anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting. And then anyway, so what's the goal then with the YouTube channel? If you have any, or you just want to have fun with it as long as it lasts?
I do definitely have a goal. I mean, I want to get over 100K subs. That's like the next milestone. We're at like 76 now. I don't really have a views milestone. And honestly, if we can just slowly, steadily grow and keep booking this many calls and maybe a few more, I'm going to be a pretty happy guy, man. I don't want to scale to the moon. I want to see how far we can grow until it's not fun anymore. I want to find that line where it's too busy, too stressful, there's too much shit going on. And I think it'll be about $750 a month, I reckon.
Nice.
I think.
Nice.
And then we'll kind of just come back a bit and try and figure something else out, I think. So
I've been told that you're working on something in the background, something new.
Oh.
And I've been told that you may not speak about it, but can you say anything?
Well,
or maybe you don't even know which one of the many things you're working on in the background I'm even referring to.
Are you talking about the e-learning roll-up?
I don't know. I've just been told you're working on something pretty epic in the background I should ask you about.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, I can say I've actually genuinely got like an NDA around this. So there actually is. I hate it when people say that, but I actually have this time. But basically, I can say that I'm working with some of the biggest, 2 of the biggest people in this industry.
Okay.
And we are basically building a holding company of some of the biggest e-learning companies in this space. And then we were going to take it public, but we're not going to do that anymore. We're just going to build a holding company and then sell the holding company to probably private equity. But some of the businesses that we're going to buy are doing, 15 million a year net profit, 8 million a year net profit. If you picked the top biggest e-learning companies in this space, all names that you and everyone would know, those are the guys that we're working with to kind of build this holding company. So that's a whole different ball game, man. But it's scary.
What's the purpose of it? What does the holding company do?
Well, we want to sell the holding company. Yeah, so we are going to... You know what an options agreement is? No. So what an options agreement is let's say that I say to you, would you sell me your company? And you say, yeah, I'll sell for 5 million, right? I say, cool. Well, I'll give you 5 million, but I ain't giving it to you now. Let's sign this piece of paper that gives me the option to buy it within, let's say, 12 months, but not the obligation, right? Now, you can't not sell it to me. If I want to buy it, you have to let me buy it in this certain period of time, but I don't have to buy it.
Do I know the price beforehand?
And we know the price.
Okay.
Yeah, so we agree the price, and when you sign that option, you have to sell it to me, right? But I don't have to buy it. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to gather about 50 million worth of net profit businesses. So it might be 5, 6, 7 companies that altogether combined make about 50 million a year profit. We're going to buy them on options agreements. And then we're going to take those options agreements to a private equity firm and say, listen, we've got 50 million of profit here. You give us 150 and you can have it. They trigger the options, right? They give all you guys 50, they give us 100, and we're all happy.
Interesting.
So it's that's just what a roll up is, You kind of roll up the companies and resell them and take a spread, essentially.
You already know exactly what companies are going to be in the holding company? Some of them?
Most, yeah.
You talk to these folks already? They're down?
Yeah.
Wow, that's insane. Okay, that is interesting. It's so crazy to think about, like, this whole info business starting, like, 2013, 14-ish is when I remember for the first courses.
Yeah.
A couple $100 video courses. Then the high-ticket stuff started with, who were the first kind of high-ticket guys? Doesn't matter. You see those guys come up and all, prices getting higher and higher to now, like, being legitimate giant businesses.
Yeah.
With really, really big brands behind it.
Yeah.
And it's cool, man. And there's the bottom of the bottom, like the scammers.
Yeah.
But, like, most of the people, at least the people I hang out with, they're all legit.
Yeah.
They all know what the fuck they're doing. They're serious about this. They want to give value. And that's very, very cool to see, like, how much we emerge from these, like, record a video in your basement and sell it for $95 or $9.97 to, like, build a business, have employees, innovate. Go for it.
You said something earlier that really stood out to me. You said you were talking about your sales team.
Yeah.
And you said something like, they're really great. I love them, and you just said it in a way where I can tell that you care about your team. You love your team. They love you. And you're really a solid unit. And it's not just a joke.
Yeah.
It's an actual team where you love them and respect them. They love you and respect them. They're in it for the long term. They've probably got solid contracts in place and bonuses and comp and stuff. And that usually is one of the signs that someone's got an actual real solid long-term business. It's always the big proper guys that stay and go far. That, for me, is one of the signs.
Oh, that's sick.
And the reason it's one of the signs is because the private equity firm that bought my company, that was one of their number one signs. So they looked at our team, and almost all of our employees had never left. We'd had, of all the people we ever hired, 2 had left. The rest were always there.
Wow.
And they really liked that. So that taught me, if you've got a team that loves you and stays with you and they're good, that's one of the signs. So it's good.
I was going to ask you about that. What other, because now when you guys are looking at the holding company and you're buying all these digital consulting companies, what do you look for? What is making the biggest guys in the industry? What's making them so big? If you had to break it down into bullet point check boxes, what would that be?
One would be basically the longer the track record, the better. You know, so the longer they've been in business.
In the same business?
In the same business. So that the one company and the one offer, the better, right, is one. So, yeah. Level of profitability. So how high is the profit margin, and what has the profit margin gone up and down, or has it been pretty stable? And the more stable, the better. So long track record, stable profitability, reliable profitability, a solid bought-in team, and ideally a departmentalized team. So they've got like a sales team, but it's managed by a sales team manager. You've got a coaching team, but there's a head of coaching in place. They've got an accounting team in place, you know, blah, blah, blah. So it's not just a team, but a well-ran, stable, departmentalized team is very important. Good online reputation, you know, nothing, no kind of scary stuff when you Google them. You know, it's pretty clean. That's quite important. And good product, happy customers. You know, one of the things that the PE firm that bought our company, they interviewed all our customers, right? So you can get caught out that way as well. If they interview customers and your customers are not happy, that can fuck deals up.
Yeah.
So happy long-term team, you know, do people come and go on the team? You know, what's the average team member stay? And do they have contracts in place? Do they have NDAs in place? This is another nightmare I've had with a friend of mine recently, where a team member quit and started making YouTube videos all about his shit, you know? So you've got to have good contracts, and you've got to think about this shit, because this is the stuff that can fuck up deals. And could they go away on holiday for, say, a month, and the business at least sustains? Just things like this, you know?
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Especially the NDA part. I never thought about it, but I just implemented NDAs from the get-go right away. But I never thought about the idea of them making YouTube videos about you. Yeah, that's scary.
You don't think about it until it happens.
Yeah,
you know.
Fuck. That's very interesting. No, everybody that works with us has an NDA, and they all have incentive structures, because they didn't used to. I was very much like, well, why would I give a percentage? Like, it's my fucking business, it's my percentage.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, okay, like, let's, as an experiment, just pay more, especially sales staff. For example, our setters used to just get a base amount with no extra commission. And then we're like, okay, let's give them a base plus commission for every set that closes, so they're more incentivized to get more sets.
Yeah.
And that helped tremendously. It helped tremendously.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of slow to hire, quick to fire, especially in the sales team, we've had it. It's such a pain in the ass to deal with a closer that doesn't close as well, or they don't take the feedback. The funniest thing that I've realized is one of the biggest skills to hire for is how well can they implement feedback. And it sounds so stupid, simple, but I've had it so many times where I would tell someone, hey, don't say this anymore, or don't do it like this, do it like that. And they're like, yeah, okay, I understand. Thanks. Good. That's great. Wow. I never knew. Okay, I'll do that. And then the next call, they make the exact same mistake again.
Yeah.
And you're like, I just told you, like, what? Like, come on. I just told you what to do, and you do the same thing. And you'd be surprised how many people live like that. So we now specifically hire for that. We have for closing and the setting the procedure specifically, we have a 3-interview process. The first interview is just a mock call. We don't even care about anything else. It's like, mock, try to close me, go. And then I don't even care if they get the close in the mock call or not. What I really care about is if they got potential to close me, they listen to my objections, they handle them properly, and then I give them feedback. And I'm open and transparent about that. I mean, I don't do the hiring myself anymore, but that's how I used to do it. Now I have a sales manager who does it exactly like that. They tell them specifically, okay, I'm going to tell you now the 3, 4, 5 things that were not good, and tomorrow we're going to do round 2. And I'm going to specifically give you a scenario where you can prove that you understood these 3, 5 things that I'm giving you now. You can write them down. You can ask me questions. You can practice them. I'm going to give you every chance in the world for you to do it right tomorrow. And again, you'll be surprised. Around 60% of people who get all the info, who know exactly what's going to happen, still don't get it right the next day.
Yeah.
So that tells us, if I have that guy as a trainee to become a closer or a setter, and I'll tell him something, he will do the same mistake again. It's just going to be a pain in the ass.
I fucking hate hiring.
Yeah.
I fucking hate hiring, man. It's such a mission. We've got someone that does it for us now. Do you know who Usman is?
Osman, what?
Usman Kiani?
No, never heard.
No, he's a pretty big sales guy. We've literally just hired him like a few days ago to come in and manage the setting department, manage the sales department, hire, fire, do the meetings, do the tracking. Just like he literally said to me, Will, you will do nothing. And I was like, you're in.
Sold.
You're hired. Let's fucking go. Because we're just, do you know who Sam Ovens is, right?
Yeah.
So I was in his mastermind before he closed it, and we still got the group that was there. So we're all, the members that were in there and are still in now in the school group. And someone posted in there a little while ago, and they were talking about these 3 phases of these businesses. The fuck around and get it working stage. The scale it to pretty serious numbers stage. Well, I think is where we are at. I think you're a bit further ahead, but I think that's where we are now, where we're doing big numbers, but to go any further, shit needs to be fixed.
Yeah, you need to be ultra tight. Yeah.
You need to be ultra tight. And that's what we are doing now. We're getting ultra tight so that we can push a bit further. But we would fuck things up if we went further now, because it's just not dialed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, what stage are you in? And I love the fuck around stage. That's the best, when you be scrappy and you're super profitable and a small team. And
I love that too.
Yeah.
But it's sooner or later you're forced to just look at the little pieces.
It's got to be done, mate. It's got to be done.
I call it the cleansing. Every quarter-ish, you have to look at everything and you cleanse.
Yeah.
You cleanse the company of procedures, and you have to cleanse them of the B players.
Yep.
Like no matter how tight you are with hiring, there's always B players that slip through. And I had a situation with it today. It's just, unfortunately, love working with her. She's great. She's smart. She's bright. She learns. But just for whatever reason, when we do get a refund request, it's someone that worked with her. And I'm like, I can't have this. And you give her chances, but and you always compare the way you can really figure out if someone's a B player, you just compare them with an A player.
Yeah.
And when I compare him with an A player in the exact same position, I'm like, I haven't heard about this guy in months, right? If I go through his EODs, they're perfect, no matter if I look at him or not. I haven't heard a complaint. He hasn't asked me for anything. And then I look at this other position, this other person, and they're just like, there's always an issue. And you look at the issue, and it's always kind of a little bit, not always totally their fault, but a little bit, yes. It's just enough to keep bugging you. And you have to, like, every couple months, just cleanse.
You've got to fire them, man.
Yeah.
This is one big thing that I've learned.
Guess I get them.
As soon as there's a red flag.
Yeah.
I remember this guy on my old team, man, in the old business. Fucking hell. We should have fucking just fired him. But
it's always, you should have fired him before. Yeah.
It just goes on and fucking on. But you don't do it. But I think I've learned that. I think you've learned now to spot the signs and just get them out.
Yeah, just get them out before it gets even worse.
Get them out.
And also, it's like, and then you're like, okay, I don't want to hire a replacement. It's going to cost me also time. But yeah, you could just cut them out. And even then, when I fired them, I'm like super nice. I'm like giving them a month or 2 of extra pay. Like, okay, you're not going to work in this company anymore, but you're going to get paid for a month or 2 longer so you can find something else. Just because also, like, I want them to be not super bummed out or in a situation where they're getting into financial trouble. But I'm just like, hey, you gotta get out. And same goes for systems. Like, we have, like, our internal trainings are everything. Like, the moment there's a procedure, there's going to be a document with a Loom video, and it's all going to be documented. But then over time, it becomes too convoluted, too big. There's like too many random procedures that can be simplified already. So every couple months, at least that's the way I do it, I have to go through the internal training and I'll make it tighter, make it smoother, shorter. So for every new person to come in, to not have to be trained for like weeks, but just a couple days till they're able to do their job properly. But I think like that, you can continue to be ultra tight and bulletproof with everything without being too convoluted and having too crazy procedures to restrict creative thinking too much. But I do like what you said is like the fucking round stage is the best.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, let's see what works and let's just let it rip. Do you have people that are on an executive level push against your ideas to keep you in check, so to speak? Do you have someone to counterbalance you?
I used to in the old company.
Mm-hmm.
I don't now. But I do. I mean, I do now that I've hired Usman.
Okay.
Because he really is. You could call him the sales director, but he's really, he's actually more than that. Because even before we worked together, we were kind of friends. And he would push me and challenge me. And he was like, do you want to scale? I was like, no, I don't want to scale. He was like, you should scale. You've got a massive edge. You've done all this stuff. Fucking come on. Like, you should sort your shit out. I was like, oh, okay. And he was like, what's your plan for this? I was like, I don't really have a plan. He was like, you should have a plan. Blah, blah, blah. So and I think that's why I wanted to hire him, because he's a good guy. He truly cares. And he's very good at what he does. And he's just like the missing piece of the puzzle. And I think now that we've got him, we will do a lot better and go a lot further. And it will be a cleaner journey as well. Like when it comes to selling a business, if you were going to buy a business, you would want it to be one thing: stable. So if you want to build a great business, you've got to make it stable.
Yeah.
For you, and if you want to sell it, of course, as well. But even by building it to sell, you don't want to sell it because it's such a great business.
That's kind of the mind fuck behind it. It's like, if you really want to sell it, make it so good you don't even want to sell it in the first place. Yeah. That Osman guy, what was his situation before? Was he working in a different company? Did you have to poach him away? Was he just not doing anything? And is he now exclusively with you guys, or does he still have his hand in other?
What's the word? He is fractional.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's not just in with us. He's in with a small handful of people. Yeah.
Does that work? Does he?
About to find out.
Okay. Because I feel like sometimes it's hit or miss, but that's just my experience. And of course, I don't know him. He might be crushing it anyways.
Yeah.
But I'm like, to a degree, they need to be bought in enough. But then on the other hand, I also look at my CMO, Robin. We're not the only offer that he works in, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels like we're the literal only offer.
That's what you need.
Okay. Yeah. And then he just goes all in. And I don't even know how many other offers he's in. Might be 10, might be just 2 others.
Yeah.
But he's a beast. He's just all day, Sunday, Monday, doesn't fucking matter, Christmas, birthday. He's on it. And that's one of the signs for me. And I'll be curious about you. In my company, one of the first things you learn, whether you're a VA or head of sales, is over communication. Like, over communicate, never give me fractional context on something. When you message me with a question, just make sure you give me all the info so I don't have to waste my time to reply back with like, what about this? What's this? And like, over communicate, like, if you're going to miss a deadline, don't just miss it, but like, communicate ahead of time. For us, that's so important. Is that something that is valuable in your company as well? If so, how valuable is it?
It's immensely valuable, man. Communication is number one. It's absolutely number one, or else you just don't know what's going on. It's critical, man. Yeah.
That's good to know. How do you communicate? Mostly Slack, WhatsApp?
Mainly WhatsApp, with Slack as a bit of a hedge. So WhatsApp is more to chat. Slack is more to track what's being done.
Love it. Same.
I would say.
Yeah. We have the same. I do most of it on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Voice message, manage the team.
Yeah.
And then Slack is for EODs.
Yeah.
All kinds of procedures. Some of the special leads land in there, payment info, and so on and so forth. That's interesting. Do you think that this is something I ask everybody that is at an extremely high level? Do you think anybody can build a business?
No.
What do you think is necessary for someone to build a business?
So many things. So many things, man. Well, when you asked me that question, I was just thinking about some of the stupid people I've known in my life. And they just don't have any of it. They don't have the belief. They don't have the focus. They don't have the creativity. They're just not what you need to be very successful. I'm talking about very successful though. Like, to make 5, 10, 15K a month, I think most people could be taught how to do that. Most, not all, but most.
Yeah.
But fucking hell, to do 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 million. No, most people can't do that because you've got to just be a unique fucking weird
You gotta
human.
be fucking weird.
You got to be, you know,
You gotta be borderline retarded.
Yeah,
Actually.
yeah, yeah. You've just got to be obsessed, man.
Yeah, obsessed is the right word. Obsessed is the right word. Whereas I even have to think, between 1 and 10 million is actually the hardest spot to be in per year. That's at least what everybody that is above 10 million tells me. They're like, why would any sane person want to be in the 1 to 10 million a year realm if being at the 10 million plus is so much easier?
I don't know whether that's true. And the reason that I say that is because to get above 10 mil a year, you've got to have a very dialed in team. And if you have a massive team, you have a lower profit margin. And technically you have more complexity, right? Whereas when you're a bit smaller, like 2, 3, 4-ish mil, you can have a tiny team, a much higher profit margin, less complexity, more control. So I think it changes from business to business, man.
That's a good point.
You know, I think it just depends. You know, some people that I know have like a little lifestyle business. Some people are more kind of where we are at now, pretty big, but not huge, not a corporation.
Yeah.
And then people have the corporations, and I think they can all work, but it's just like, what do you want? You know, do you want more? What's your focus on, right? Net profit, or maybe exiting one day, or revenue, or to be the biggest and the best? Where's your focus?
Mine is, I would say, net profit plus being the biggest and the best.
Biggest and the best.
I do get some satisfaction from knowing I've mastered a skill and I'm known for that, which is funny because you would think it's like, oh, I'm fine as long as I make money, which is true. But I do also like to know that people know, okay, this is the guy that we can ask when we have this problem. You know what I mean? I do get some sort of satisfaction from the fact that people look at you as the go-to person for something.
That's cool.
What about you?
For me, it's just long-term wealth, really. I would say, I don't think this is ever going to happen, but if the info business ever stops being a thing, I want to be one of the guys where it's like, well, it's completely fine because I own fucking 100 properties.
100%.
You know, I just want to be solid.
Yeah.
My focus is on just being as solid as possible outside of the info business. So that the info, because really for me, it just feeds, the info business is just there to feed the wealth.
Exactly.
As such. So I guess you could say net profit, I guess.
Yeah, I do have this. Yeah. It's a feeder. It's the catalyst that starts it all. And then from there, you just feed all the other things. So eventually you can just purely live off the passive income.
Yeah.
You still have the info thing because it's the most fun and it does give you active income on top of that.
It is really fun. Dude, I remember Sam Ovens once said this thing. He said, you've got to back an info business with an asset. Because he was like, an info business is not an asset. It's a cash flow vehicle.
Yeah.
So you've got to either put that cash into a software, put that cash into real estate, and you've got to back it with an asset of your choice. And it's always the guys that don't do that get fucked. So
I've seen a lot of those guys.
yeah,
I've seen a lot of kids get into wealth way too quickly. They buy the car, they buy the place, they buy chains, which is like the most retarded investment ever.
it's mad.
Like even more retarded than watches.
Yeah.
And then, because I've seen a lot of info business just do well because of luck, right kind of model, right kind of sexy idea that is how you do right now. You know, the drop shipping at the right time, the crypto at the right time, the NFT at the right time.
Yeah.
And then after 2 years, it tanks. And even if you make like 2 or 3 million a year for 2 years in a row, that's whatever, 5-6 million over a lifetime, over 40, 50, 60 years. That's nothing. That's like a shitty fucking income. How dumb can someone be and still make 10, 15K a month?
You can be pretty dumb, I think. I really do, man. I really do. You know, I think, where's the boundary? I think the boundary is like 50 a month profit.
Wow.
I think above 50 a month profit, you've got to be smarter. I think 0 to 50, I think more or less anyone can do that. If you really know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I reckon. Yeah.
When do you think is a business a real legitimate business? Because when I asked earlier who could start a business, you said not everyone. But almost everyone can make 50K.
Yeah.
When do you consider something a legitimate business?
I consider it a legitimate business when it's got like what legitimate businesses have, like a stability, a actual really good product, you know, a product that's had a lot of time and energy and love and thought and customer results put into it, right? So actual really great product. A team, you know, it's not a real business if it's one person, you know. It doesn't have to be a massive team, doesn't have to be departmentalized, but it's got to be a very good team of A players in the right seat that love you, love the customers, love the mission. You've got to have a mission statement. You've got to have a brand, you know. You've got to just do those extra things that you don't have to do to make 50 to 100K a month, you know. So it's just the stability things, really, I would say. Yeah.
Interesting. What's your take on following your passion?
Oh, God, I don't know how to answer that. What do you think?
I think following your passion is, for 99% of people, perfect way to go broke.
Yeah.
Fully honest. My passion was always music. I wanted to become a metal musician. And if I had followed that path up until now, I'm 35, 34 years old.
Yeah.
I would probably still be broke, let alone have made as much money as I did.
Yeah.
It's extremely difficult. And I think in the best case scenario, in the best case scenario, you live your dream. But that's like 0.00% of 0.1% of the time.
It just depends what you want.
Exactly. And in the worst case scenario, not only will you not succeed, but it destroys your passion with it. Because your passion goes from this thing that you do to be happy outside of your regular work to this chore that you have to do. You have to do it over. You have to do it every day. So it kind of just becomes this duty, this piece of work instead of this passion that gets you out of it. So what I did is I found something that I'm interested in. Sure. I'm not bored by what I do. And I made sure that thing that I'm interested in is extremely lucrative and it's scalable and it gives me a lever that every time I get better at it, I make more money out of it. And then I use that money to feed my passion, which is, by the way, my amount of passion that I feel for what I'm doing is increasing the more I get out of it because I'm fucking good at it.
Yeah.
So passion doesn't necessarily just come right away. It comes with the feedback that you're getting, the financial feedback, the feedback with people watching your content, the feedback with your clients saying, hey, this is great, you changed my life. So you feel more and more passionate about that. But then ultimately, you know, like what are my passions? Like playing video games and playing guitar. I can do this as much as I want right now and I'm still rich.
You know what? So I stay in touch with a couple of musicians that I used to DJ with. Just the ones that are still going, still full-time, still doing very well. I was chatting to one of them the other day and he was saying, dude, COVID put like 80% of DJs back in full-time jobs. You know, so like most DJs didn't recover. They were just fucked. And these were some pretty big names as well that are now back in an office job.
Jesus.
You know, which is, I'm so fucking thankful that wasn't me because it probably would have been me. You know, if I didn't have trading in the info business and I was just a musician, I would have been fucked and I probably would have gone back to work after that. And I'd probably just be in a shitty job right now. And I have no skills. I went to uni for audio production. So at best, I might be, I don't know, a cameraman, an audio guy. Who fucking knows? But for me, I've always followed my passions. But I don't think I'm a good example because I think there's been luck in there as well. So my passion was skateboarding and I tried to monetize it at a time where money didn't matter because I was so young. Graffiti, I tried to monetize it with the magazine, but thankfully it was a time when money wasn't important and it failed and that's fine. Music, I kind of did all right with, to be honest. 2-3K a month, I could at least live and do the passion. But as money became more important, I hated it. I hated having to produce. I hated having to DJ. I hated having to accept gigs that I didn't want to play. So my passion for that passion went down, 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 down. Thankfully, I found trading, and trading became a massive passion that I really did love. And I made more money through that, not a huge amount. The info business became a passion, and that's made me a lot of bloody money. So I've always followed my passions.
Interesting.
But I think I've been lucky though to pick the right ones later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I chose passions that happened to make a fucking lot of money. You know, so I think if you're going to follow your passion, just understand the unit economics of your passion.
Yeah.
If it's music, well, just think with the fucking brain. Like, even unless you're the top 1%, the other 99% are pretty much fucked. You know, like, so just whatever your passion is, just think about it. Like, one of my cousins is a fairly famous cricket player.
Oh no shit.
You know, doesn't make a massive amount, but makes a decent amount and loves what she does, and I hope that continues. But if you're going to follow your passion, just make sure it's a passion that will make you wealthy. And if it won't make you wealthy, don't follow your passion.
That's a very, very good way of saying it.
Basically,
Yeah. If it won't make you wealthy, find something else that makes you wealthy, so you can then pursue the passion.
if you want to be wealthy though, because and this blows my mind, but there are some people out there that actually don't mind, and I know okay with being normal, and so, sometimes I actually envy them.
Sometimes for 2 minutes.
For 2 minutes.
And then you're like, nah. I have that. You have that too. It's so funny.
I do.
I'm like passing by a 7-Eleven. I'm like, if I worked at that 7-Eleven, man, I would just smoke weed every day, listen to Guns N' Roses. I would probably have a bong stashed in the back to just take a smoke break and just have the life, eat Cheetos all day. No, yet here I am. I'm going to the gym, doing 10K steps on my walking desk treadmill. I'm having a team. I'm making millions. Yeah. No, I fucking love what I'm doing.
You've got to pick your battle.
Yeah,
You know,
you
but
do.
some people are just obsessed with building. I mean, like I think Iman Gadzhi, I think he's just psycho level focused, and surprise, surprise, he's one of the biggest, wealthiest fucking guys. You know, so some people just have that unstoppable fucking drive. You know, and surprise, surprise, they are the biggest guys out there.
Yeah,
You know, some people have it, some people don't.
yeah. It's funny. It's the drive that like the moment you catch up with some of them, they already have like 2-3 steps ahead.
Yeah.
And that's pretty crazy. And I had that drive for a very, very long time, and then I paused for these 2-3 years where you have to figure out the cold traffic.
Yeah.
And I still feel that. Those 2-3 years where I didn't make organic, like, it takes a long time to rebuild up the momentum. But the thing is, I have the drive, so I don't care. I'm in for a long run anyways, and it just feels so fucking amazing. Like, every single video you publish, every single podcast you do, it's just so fucking good.
Nice.
One more thing I wanted to ask you. For the average person, regular person, what's your advice for those folks to get to their first 10K a month ASAP?
Get a copy of my book
On Amazon.
on Amazon, on Audible. And fundamentally, I mean, that's a shameless plug, all right? Like, I'm going to give you 2 answers. Answer number 1 is the shameless answer.
Yeah.
Buy my book, watch my YouTube, you know, and just learn. Like, learning is the first step. That's like the shameless answer. Another answer is learn. You've got to fucking learn. Whether it's from me, whether it's from you, whether it's from anyone. The start, because look, if you knew how to make 10K a month, you'd already be making 10K per month. So the fact that you are not making it should prove to yourself that you don't fucking know, and you need to know. So you have a knowledge gap, and you can either go and find that knowledge. You're probably going to have to pay for it, but just somehow go and get that bloody knowledge, and then take action. And if you get the knowledge and you take action, you make money. It's a fucking formula, you know. And if you're not making money, you do not have some knowledge, or you're not taking some action. It's that simple. And that goes for every number as well. 10K a month, 100K a month, 500K a month, million a month. If you're not there, you either don't know something, or you do know it, but you're not doing it. It's that simple.
It's actually a really simple breakdown of it. Never heard it that way, but it's fucking true.
Yeah, there you go.
Mate, we've learned where you come from. We've learned about your mindset. I've learned a shit ton. I've learned so much. the idea behind your creativity, where it comes from, how you created teams, how to exit, what to look out for. By the way, that was really, really helpful. The things you need to have if you want to exit ever. Not that I'm planning on, but
yeah, dude, you should come to the Info to Exit challenge. Like you would, you would learn so fucking
that's
much.
sick.
You really should.
Yeah, I mean, we'll plug it, and of course, I'll make sure to be there as well.
Nice.
And last words are yours. Anything else you want to mention?
I think we just ended in a really great place, man. Just that last question that you asked there, because there'll be people watching this right now that are either new, or they're making some, they want to make more, or they're making a big amount and they want to make more. So if I could give anyone any advice, if you're not where you want to be, find someone who is, pay for their knowledge, and take action on the knowledge, and be patient. And if you do those things, you're going to get there. It's a matter of time.
Easy fucking peasy.
Yeah.
How can people find you? How can they reach out to you if they want?
Instagram is just my name. YouTube. Instagram is the best place. If you message me on Instagram, I'll definitely get it. Leave me a nice comment on YouTube.
Love it.
Subscribe to the channel so I can get to 100k faster.
Let's do it.
And come to the Info to Exit challenge on May 5th.
Hell yeah. We'll link all of it below, of course. Will, thanks for your time. You're a fucking legend, man. It's been a fucking pleasure, man.
Big thank you.
By the way, sick place.
Thank you.
Really beautiful.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening, folks. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for watching / listening. I appreciate the hell out of you. If you haven't done so yet, drop a 5-star rating on iTunes / Spotify. If you're watching this on YouTube, drop a comment. Tell me how awesome I am and how great the white shirt looks on William. And drop a like as well. Appreciate the hell of you. Hey, of course, I never asked for this. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet, because I have more insane episodes coming up with even more insane guests that I guarantee you will love. Thank you so much for everything. I appreciate the living hell out of you, and see you in the next episode.